A holiday dinner turned into chaos when my mom revealed a secret my aunt hid for decades and it destroyed our family. So this all went down last Christmas Eve at my Aunt Linda's house. Linda has one of those big suburban homes with a long dining table that only ever gets used on holidays. The smell of turkey, cinnamon, and mulled wine was everywhere. The table was packed to me, my mom Jessica, my stepdad Mark, my Aunt Linda, my cousin Ryan, and a couple others. Everyone was already on edge because the holidays always seemed to bring out the worst in my family. I could tell Mom was tense from the start. She sat down at the far end of the table, away from Linda, even though Linda had left the seat next to her open. It's not unusual, those two have had this weird Cold War for years. They'll do the polite Merry Christmas hug, but then immediately look for an excuse to sit apart. Anyway, dinner started off fine. Mark was carving the turkey, Ryan was bragging about his new job, and Linda kept complimenting herself on the cranberry sauce like she invented the recipe. Typical family dinner. Then Linda made this comment, kind of joking, kind of not. She looked straight at Mom and said, "Well, at least this year no one's sneaking behind anyone's back, right?" The whole table froze. My fork literally stopped halfway to my mouth. Mom's fist tightened in a way I'd never seen before. She didn't laugh it off, didn't throw a sarcastic comment back, she just went quiet. Mark tried to break the silence with some awkward chuckle like, "Oh, family jokes," but you could tell even he didn't bite. That's when Mom finally snapped. She put her fork down, leaned forward, and said in a icy calm voice, "You want to bring it up, Linda? Fine, let's bring it up. I'm tired of pretending." You could practically hear everyone's heartbeat in that room. Linda smirked like she'd been waiting for this moment and said, "Pretending about what?" "Jessica, about how you betrayed me all those years ago." Now my head was spinning. Betrayed? I looked at Ryan, but even he looked confused. Mark just sat there frozen. Mom took a deep breath, her hand shaking, and said, "You think I don't remember the way you treated me back then, the way you kept your little secret and made me look like the villain?" At this point, Ryan spoke up. "Wait, what secret? What's going on?" Neither of them answered. They were just locked in this death stare across the table. The room felt so heavy it was almost hard to breathe. Finally, Linda practically slammed her wine glass down and said, "Don't play the martyr, Jessica, you know exactly what you did with Dad." The table went silent again, but this time it wasn't confusion, it was shock. Because the dad she was talking about, that wasn't Mom's dad. That was her dad. My grandfather. And in that moment, I realized we were about to hear family secret that had been buried for decades. I swear you could have heard a pin drop in that dining room. Even the dog, who'd been circling under the table begging for scraps all night, froze like he sensed something was about to explode. "Linda," my mom said, her voice low but steady, "don't twist this. You don't get to write history just because you've been holding a grudge for 20 years. Linda leaned forward, eyes blazing. "Write history? Jessica, you slept with my father, our father. Don't stand there acting like the victim." I almost dropped my glass. My brain couldn't process what I just heard. Mom? With Grandpa? That sounded insane. My cousin Ryan's face went pale. "Wait, what the hell are you talking about? Are you saying?" Mark finally jumped in, trying to calm things down. Okay, let's not do this right now, it's Christmas. Whatever this is, it can wait." But Mom cut him off, her voice shaking now. "No, Mark, it can't wait. She's been holding this over me for years, poisoning every holiday, every gathering, with her little comments. If she wants it out in the open, fine, let's tell the truth." Linda scoffed. "The truth? You mean your version? Go ahead, Jessica, enlighten us." Mom gripped her wine glass so tightly I thought it might break in her hand. She looked around the table, at me, at Ryan, at everyone watching, and said, "Yes, something happened with Dad, but it wasn't what Linda's making it sound like." Ryan snapped, "Something happened? What does that even mean?" Mom took a deep breath, eyes glistening. "I was 19, I was home from college. Dad was drunk, as usual. He cornered me one night when no one else was around." She paused, swallowed hard, then added, "I didn't ask for it, I didn't want it, but I was too scared to say anything." The room erupted. My Aunt Linda shot up from her chair, pointing a finger across the table. "Liar, don't you dare slander him. He was a good man." My jaw hit the floor. Good man? My grandfather had been controlling and mean when he was alive. Nobody in the family ever said it out loud, but we all knew. Still, hearing Mom accuse him of that, it was like the air got sucked right out of the room. Ryan's voice cracked. "Mom, are you seriously saying Grandpa?" Linda cut him off, screaming, "She's making it up because she hates me. She always hated me. Jealous that Dad loved me more." That was it. Mom slammed her hand on the table so hard the dishes rattled. Jealous, you knew, Linda. You walked in on it. You saw what happened that night, and instead of helping me, you covered it up. You protected him, and you've been punishing me ever since." Everyone gasped. My chest was pounding. Ryan's face twisted in disbelief as he looked between his mom and mine. And that's when I realized that this wasn't just about Mom and Linda. This was about the entire foundation of our family. The whole table was split down the middle. On one side was Linda, standing with her fists clenched, shaking with rage. On the other side was my mom, Jessica, pale but defiant, her voice trembling but not breaking. Mark tried to speak again, but Ryan beat him to it. "Mom," he said to Linda, "is this true? Did you know about this?" Linda's face flushed red. "Of course not, she's twisting things. She's always been manipulative. You can't believe her." Mom shot back. "Manipulative, Linda. You walked into the living room that night. I'll never forget your face. You froze, and then you walked away. You left me there." Ryan turned to his mom again, eyes wide, voice cracking. "Is that true? Did you see something?" For the first time, Linda hesitated. Her mouth opened, then shut. That hesitation told me more than any words could. Mom's voice broke, but she pressed on. I never said anything because I thought it would destroy the family. I carried this for decades while you sat there every Christmas pretending nothing happened, just so you could keep your perfect daughter status. Linda slammed her hand on the table. No, you're not putting this on me. Dad was strict. Yes, but he was not that. He would never do what you're saying. Mark finally stood up, holding his hands out. Enough, this isn't the time or the place. Jessica, I believe you, but this is too much for dinner. But my mom ignored him. She turned to Ryan and said softly, your mom has hated me all these years because deep down, she knew she saw the truth at night, and instead of facing it, she blamed me. Ryan looked like his whole world was collapsing. He pushed his chair back, his voice breaking. Mom, tell me she's lying. Linda's face was stern. She shook her head but wouldn't meet his eyes. That silence was louder than any confession. Ryan stood up so fast his chair toppled over. I can't believe this. You let me grow up thinking Grandpa was some hero, while you both... He stopped choking on his words. He grabbed his coat and stormed out of the dining room, slamming the front door behind him. The rest of us just sat there. The only sound was the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Aunt Linda looked like she'd been gutted. She sank back into her chair, muttering, You've ruined everything, Jessica, everything. Mom's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. No, Linda, Dad ruined everything. I just finally stopped protecting his memory. I sat there, staring at my untouched plate of food, my stomach twisted in knots. Christmas dinner had turned into a battlefield, and the war lines had been drawn. And the worst part, this wasn't even the climax yet, because what Mom said next blew the entire family history apart even more. I honestly thought it couldn't get worse than what had already been said. But then Mom's voice dropped lower, like she was about to rip the last bandage off a wound that had been festering for decades. She looked at Linda directly and said, There's something else you don't know, something I've never told anyone, not even Mark, not even my own child. I felt my chest tighten. My own child. That meant me. Linda sneered. Oh, here we go. Another dramatic confession to make yourself look like the victim. But Mom didn't flinch. She was shaking, her face wet with tears, but her eyes burned with this raw, painful determination. She said, almost whispering, Linda, Ryan isn't just your son. The room went dead silent. I swear the walls themselves seemed to lean in. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Linda snapped. Mom's voice cracked. Ryan, he's not just your son, he's Dad's too, and you know it. Everyone froze. Mark actually sat back down like his knees gave out. I thought Ryan had already left, but he had come back inside without us noticing he was standing in the hallway, overhearing everything. His voice came from behind us, shaking. What did you just say? Linda whipped around. Don't listen to her, she's lying. But Mom just buried her face in her hands for a moment before looking up at Ryan. Your mother was only 16 when she got pregnant. Dad covered it up, made sure nobody ever knew. He told everyone it was some boy from school, but it wasn't. It was him. Ryan's face crumpled. No, that's not true, Mom. Linda's lips pressed together so tightly they turned white. Her silence was the answer. Ryan's breathing grew heavier. You both knew, and you let me grow up thinking Grandpa was just Grandpa. Linda finally exploded. I did what I had to do to protect this family. He was my father. What was I supposed to do? Ruin everything? Tell the whole time. Mom's voice rose, trembling with fury. He protected him, not your son. You left Ryan to grow up with a lie. While I carried the guilt of what he did to me, we both suffered in silence because you couldn't face the truth. Ryan's hands were shaking so badly he dropped his phone onto the floor. His voice was barely able to whisper. So my dad is actually my grandfather, and my mom's he choked, unable to finish. No one answered. I just sat there, numb, watching my family fall apart like a house of cards. My holiday dinner plate still hadn't touched turkey and stuffing, but my appetite was gone. Ryan stumbled backward toward the door. I can't breathe, I can't be here. He bolted outside into the snow, slamming the door so hard the decorations in the wall shook. Inside, the rest of us sat in stunned silence. Aunt Linda was sobbing, Mom was trembling, Mark had his head in his hands. I realized Christmas was never, ever going to feel the same again. The door had barely slammed shut before the room erupted. Aunt Linda broke down completely, her sobs echoing off the walls. She wasn't the type to cry, ever she usually controlled the room with sharp comments and that smug smile. But now, she was unraveling in front of everyone. I was just a kid, she screamed, clutching her face. I didn't know what to do. He said if I told anyone, he'd throw me out. He was my father, my own father. What was I supposed to do? Mom stared at her, shaking, her voice hoarse. You could have told me. You could have told anyone. Instead, you let me walk into the same trap. You let me suffer so you wouldn't have to carry it alone. Linda's sobs turned into sharp gasps. I thought if I ignored it, it would go away. I thought I was protecting Ryan. I told myself he'd never know. I convinced myself it was for the best. Mark finally spoke, his voice heavy, almost breaking. For the best, Linda. Do you hear yourself? You both let this man poison everything and stayed silent. And now look at what's happened. Mom whipped around on him. Don't you dare lump me in with her. I was attacked. I carried the shame while she looked the other way. Mark sighed, running his hands through his hair, clearly out of his depth. I'm not saying it's the same, Jessica. I don't know how any of us move forward from this. The tension was unbearable. My stomach was twisted into knots, but I couldn't leave. It felt wrong to walk away when our entire family was disintegrating in real time. Then Linda lifted her head, mascara streaked down her face, and said something that chilled me. Ryan will never forgive me. I've lost him forever. Mom's jaw tightened. Maybe that's the price of keeping you alive. Maybe now you finally understand what I've lived with all these years. The silence that followed was suffocating. The holiday dinner spread sat there untouched, turkey growing cold, gravy congealing, candles burning down. The food looked almost grotesque now, like props in a play that had gone horribly off script. I heard footsteps on the porch, Ryan pacing outside. I wanted to go to him to say something, but I was frozen. What could I possibly say? Merry Christmas, you just found out your family tree is a nightmare. Finally, Mom stood, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm done hiding. If this family falls apart because of the truth, then so be it, but at least it's the truth. Linda just sat there, silent, staring at nothing. For the first time, she looked small. Defeated. Mark muttered, almost to himself, we'll never come back from this. And as much as I wanted to believe he was wrong, I knew he wasn't. Something fundamental had shattered in that dining room. And when Ryan came back inside, his face pale and his eyes red, the damage only deepened. When Ryan walked back in, the whole room held its breath. His cheeks were raw from the cold, his eyes red-rimmed, and his hands shaking as he slammed the door shut behind him. He didn't sit, he stood at the edge of the dining room, staring at everyone like we were strangers. I just walked around the block, he said, his voice raw. But the thing is, you can't walk away from something like this. It follows you. Linda reached out, her voice breaking. Ryan, please. He flinched back like her touch burned. Don't you dare touch me right now. His eyes narrowed on her. All these years, I thought you were protecting me. Turns out you were just protecting him and yourself. Linda's face crumpled. I was scared. I didn't know how. Ryan cut her off, his voice sharp. You had decades, Mom, decades to tell me the truth. You let me worship a man who ruined both of you. You let me think he was some proud grandfather, when really he was just a... He stopped himself, clenching his fists. I can't even say it. The silence was brutal. Then he turned toward my mum. His voice softened, but it was still trembling. And you're telling me you knew I was what? My whole life's been a lie, and you just let me walk around clueless. You both did. Mom's face crumpled. Ryan, I never wanted to hurt you. I thought the truth would destroy you. I didn't even want to believe it myself. He shook his head, laughing bitterly. Destroy me. Newsflash, it already did. I feel like my entire identity just got ripped out from under me. Mark finally tried to step in, his voice firm but gentle. Ryan, none of this changes who you are. You're still you. Ryan whipped around. No, Mark, it changes everything. My grandfather is my father. My family lied to me my entire life. How is that not supposed to change who I am? His words landed like blows. Linda whispered through her tears. I thought if I kept it hidden, maybe it wouldn't matter. Maybe you'd be okay. Ryan's eyes blazed. Okay? Do I look okay to you? You lied to me every single day of my life, and now I don't even know who I am when I look in the mirror. He grabbed his coat again, his voice breaking. I don't know if I can ever forgive either of you. Don't call me. Don't try to fix it, not right now. And then, for the second time that night, he stormed out, the sound of the door slamming echoing like a gunshot through the house. The rest of us sat there in stunned silence, the Christmas lights twinkling mockingly behind us. Mom was sobbing quietly, Linda looked shattered, Mark stared at the floor like he was trying to disappear. And me? I just kept thinking this wasn't just a ruined holiday dinner. This was the end of the family I thought I knew. The next morning, the house felt like a graveyard. No music, no laughter, no clinking dishes, just silence and the faint smell of food gone cold. The festive decorations suddenly looked out of place, like we were pretending to celebrate in the middle of a disaster zone. Mom sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee she wasn't drinking, staring into it like she could find answers there. Aunt Linda hadn't come out of her room all night. I heard muffled crying through the walls when I tried to sleep. Mark was the one who broke the silence. He walked in, rubbed his face, and said, We need to figure out what happens next. Mom just shook her head. What happens next? Ryan hates us, Linda hates me, the truth is out, but what good did it do? We ruined. Her voice cracked, and for the first time I saw my mom, who'd always been so strong, so unshakable, completely broken. A couple hours later, Linda finally came downstairs. She looked like she'd aged 10 years overnight. No makeup, red eyes clutching a crumpled tissue in her hand. She didn't sit down, just stood by the counter and whispered, He's not answering my calls. No one said anything. What could we say? Finally, I spoke. Maybe he just needs time. Linda shot me a look that was half despair, half fear. Time? How much time erases a lifetime of lies? Mom stood, her voice soft but cutting. You had plenty of time to tell him the truth. You chose not to. Don't put this on anyone but yourself. Linda's face twisted, but she didn't fight back this time. She just sank into a chair and put her head in her hands. That day was supposed to be Christmas Day. Instead of opening gifts or watching movies, everyone just sat in separate corners of the house, barely speaking. The food went untouched. The tree lights flickered on and off, mocking us. By evening, Ryan finally sent a text to the family group chat. Just one line, I need space. Don't contact me. Mom burst into tears when she read it. Linda collapsed into sobs again. Mark muttered something about therapy, about maybe getting professional help, but nobody really listened. The drive home that night was the quietest I've ever experienced. Snow was falling softly, Christmas lights glowed from other houses, and it felt surreal that the world outside was celebrating while ours had just imploded. In the days after, the fallout only deepened. Ryan blocked Linda's number. He wouldn't answer Mom either. I haven't heard from him since, though I see him post vague, angry things online sometimes. As for Linda and Mom, they haven't spoken since that night. Whatever fragile truce they had for years shattered completely. And me? I can't look at holiday dinners the same way anymore. The turkey, the decorations, the Merry Christmas cheer, it all feels fake. Because now I know the truth. Sometimes the biggest secrets aren't buried under wrapping paper or tucked away in closets. They're sitting right at the table with you, smiling, pretending everything's fine until the moment they finally explode. That Christmas didn't just ruin the holiday. It ended our family as we knew it.